It began as a blink, something tiny and almost innocent that I barely gave a second thought to at the time. Looking back now, I can see how close I came to crossing a line I never imagined approaching. The strangest part? My husband noticed. More than that, he encouraged it. At first I thought it was a joke or some weird test, but as things unfolded it became clear there was something much deeper going on. There's this man, let's call him Ethan. He's been in our orbit for years, an old family friend, charming, easygoing, the kind of person who brightens a room without trying. I'll admit there's always been a charged energy between us, but I always dismissed it as harmless chemistry. After all, I'm married, happily married. Then Ethan started dropping little comments that felt too personal, touches that felt a shade too familiar. "You're glowing today," he'd say, his gaze lingering a beat too long. Or, "I wish my girlfriend laughed at my jokes the way you do." I laughed it off at first, chalking it up to his playful nature. But Mark noticed, and his reaction wasn't what I expected. Instead of anger or jealousy, Mark seemed intrigued. "Ethan's got taste," he joked one night while we were cleaning up after a dinner party. I laughed, but there was an edge to his voice, curiosity, maybe even a spark of excitement, that stayed with me. That's where it all started. What looked like harmless banter slowly deepened into something complicated. Mark began nudging me in Ethan's direction. Dress up a little more when he was around. Laugh louder at his jokes. Sit a touch closer during those late-night conversations. At first it all felt like a silly game, nothing serious. But the rules soon blurred. One evening Mark casually suggested I go out with Ethan alone to pick up supplies for a barbecue we were hosting. "It'll be faster without me," he said offhand, but his eyes betrayed something else. That's when doubt crept in. Was this confidence in our marriage, or was there some other motive? During that car ride with Ethan, something almost insignificant happened that changed everything. We climbed into his car. The air outside was cool, but there was a tension I couldn't name. I tried to shake off the odd feeling. Ethan and I had shared laughs and memories in Mark's presence many times. This should have been no different. At first the drive was nothing. Small talk about the barbecue, which snacks to grab. But as we pulled into the store's parking lot, Ethan turned to me with that familiar grin. "You've been different lately," he said softly, confident. "In a good way." I froze. Different how? I managed. He shrugged, locking eyes with me for a beat that lasted too long. "I don't know, happier, lighter. Whatever it is, it suits you." I laughed nervously and stepped out of the car, brushing off what he'd said, but something shifted inside me. A mix of flattery and unease. Was it wrong to feel noticed? Inside the store Ethan hovered close. At one point our hands brushed, reaching for the same bag of chips, and he didn't pull away. It was tiny, but it lingered in my mind. We checked out and headed back to the car. On the ride home Ethan turned the subject to Mark. "He's a lucky guy," he said, glancing over with a smile. "Not every husband would be so chill about us hanging out like this." Something tightened in my stomach. "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. He hesitated, as if choosing his words. "Some guys might get jealous," he said slowly. "But not Mark. He's cool with it. It's kind of refreshing." The word refreshing hung there, twisting around implications I didn't want to acknowledge. Was Mark really that relaxed, or was I missing something? When we pulled up to the house, Mark was on the porch with a beer, that same curious look in his eyes. "How was the trip?" he asked casually, but his gaze flicked between Ethan and me like he was reading invisible lines between us. "Fine," I said quickly and moved inside, feeling the weight of their stares behind me. That night, lying in bed, I couldn't keep the question in. "Mark," I said hesitantly, "can I ask you something?" He turned calm and attentive. "Of course." I took a breath. "Why did you want me to go with Ethan today, just the two of us?" Mark smiled slowly, deliberately, and the smile sent a chill through me. "I trust you," he said simply, "and I trust him." Relief flickered through me, until he added, in a way that made my skin prickle, "Also, I think it's good for you." Those words echoed long after he'd said them. Good for me. I wondered, what did that even mean? I couldn't shake the sense that Mark wasn't telling the whole truth, but I didn't push him, not then. The next few days were oddly normal, at least on the surface. Mark carried on with his routine as if nothing had shifted, while I found myself acutely aware of every little thing Ethan said or did when he was around. It was like viewing him through a new lens that charged each glance with possibility. We hosted a casual dinner with mutual friends one evening. As usual, Ethan arrived late, and when he did, his eyes went straight to me. I felt it, that electric pull I'd been trying to ignore. Mark noticed too. "You've got to try the ribs," he called across the room. "They're her best yet." The emphasis on her flushed my cheeks. As the night wore on, I caught Ethan staring more than once. Later, when I went to the kitchen for a bottle of wine, he followed. "You're avoiding me," he said, leaning against the counter. I laughed nervously, keeping my eyes on the bottle as I uncorked it. "I'm not avoiding you. Don't be ridiculous." He stepped closer, voice dropping. "You know you can talk to me about anything, right? If something's bothering you." For a second I forgot how to breathe. His look, intense, searching, made pretending impossible. "Nothing's bothering me," I blurted, turning away, heart thudding. Before he could reply, Mark walked in, perfectly timed. "There you are," he said, light but sharp. "Everything okay in here?" "Of course," I forced, smiling, though the tension was thick and I knew Mark felt it too. After everyone left, Mark and I sat in silence on the couch. I could feel him waiting for me to speak. Finally he did. "You and Ethan," he began calm. "You're close, aren't you?" I hesitated. "We're friends," I answered carefully. He shrugged without taking his eyes off mine. "I just find it interesting. The way he looks at you, the way you look at him." My stomach flipped. "What's that supposed to mean?" I asked. Mark smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Maybe you should explore it. See what happens." I stared, stunned. "Are you serious?" He didn't waver. "Life's too short to ignore the things that make you feel alive." I didn't know how to respond. Was he testing me, giving permission, or laying a trap? Either way, I had the sinking feeling that nothing would stay the same after that. The following days felt like walking on a tightrope. Every glance between Ethan and me held weight. Every small touch felt loaded. Think. ChatGPT can make mistake. What began as a flicker turned into something charged, a current humming between Ethan and me. And yet I had no idea how far either of us would go. Mark's words kept replaying in my head. "Life's too short to ignore the things that make you feel alive." It wasn't a throwaway comment. It landed like an invitation. For what? I didn't know. I tried to shove it aside, buried myself in routine, focused on chores and getting the barbecue ready for our next gathering. Still, my thoughts wandered back to that night, to Ethan, to the way he looked at me, to how his presence seemed to pull something out of me I couldn't name. The following weekend we had a friend's wedding, the kind of event where decorum is assumed, and instead of settling my nerves, it ramped them up. Ethan was there, as charming as ever, joking and laughing, but every time our eyes met, the air between us felt taut. I found myself watching him more than I should. The way he moved, how his voice softened when he spoke to me. At one point I excused myself to the bar to get a drink, and before I knew it, Ethan was beside me. "You okay?" he asked, his voice too soft, his proximity too close. I nodded, though the truth was I didn't know why I was so on edge. "Just tired. Long day," I lied. He smiled, that mischievous smile that used to make my heart race. "We should fix that," he suggested, nodding toward the empty balcony. "Come take a breath with me. You need a break from all these people." I hesitated. Was this an innocent offer or something more? I glanced back at Mark, who was laughing with friends across the room. He didn't notice me slip away. Outside the balcony, the cool night air steadied the butterflies in my stomach. Ethan leaned on the railing. I joined him, close enough to feel the warmth of his body. "You look stunning tonight," he murmured, voice low and intimate. I forced a smile, and tried not to trust my voice. Silence settled heavy between us. I felt as if I stood at the edge of something irreversible, and yet I couldn't move away. Ethan's gaze held mine. For a heartbeat I thought he might kiss me. No words, just that intense look, like the world had paused around us. Then he whispered, "You know, I think Mark knows. He's not blind. He sees how we're drawn to each other." My pulse quickened. The question is, what are you going to do about it? It was the moment everything could shift. Was it a test? A temptation? Was I ready to cross a line I'd never imagined crossing? Before I could answer, Mark's voice called from inside. Hey babe, you coming back in? Reality snapped back, my heart pounding. Ethan stepped away, his smile unreadable. Go on, he said softly. I'll see you inside. I walked back into the room as if waking from a dream, my head full of confusion. Had Mark seen more than he let on? Had he been playing some game all along? The days after that night were a blur. Ethan's words and that brush of a touch replayed constantly in my mind. A suffocating tension grew between Mark and me. Every time I met his eyes, it felt like he could see straight through me. Like he knew I teetered on dangerous ground. One afternoon, while we were flipping channels on the couch, Mark brought it up. So how was your little chat with Ethan the other night? He asked casually. I froze. What do you mean? I managed. He shrugged, avoiding my eyes. You know, the balcony, the drinks. You two were pretty cozy out there. The calm in his voice made my stomach flip. How long had he known? How had I missed it? I didn't answer immediately. I was trying to read him. Was he angry? Curious? He only smiled, that easy smile, like he'd been waiting for me to catch up. I'm not stupid, he said lightly, but with an edge I couldn't ignore. I saw the way you looked at him. I saw the way he looked at you. Chill ran through me. I started to stammer, unsure how to respond. Mark held up a hand. I'm not mad, if that's what you're thinking. I told you, I trust you and I trust him. He exhaled. But there's something about this, the way things are shifting. It's exciting. Exciting. The word hit me harder than anything. Was this some twisted thrill for him? A game they were both orchestrating? There's something to be said for feeling wanted, he continued. Feeling alive. Walking out of that cafe, a swirl of feelings washed over me. Anger, relief, guilt. What happened between Adam and Charlotte after that was no longer my concern. My focus had to be reclaiming my life, cutting ties with Samantha and the life we built. Back home, everything looked different. The house stopped feeling like home, and Samantha became a hollow version of herself. Guilt weighed on her. I could see it in the slump of her shoulders and the look in her eyes. She tried to fix what she'd broken. First came the tears, every day, pleading with me to listen, to let her explain, to give her another chance. I'll do anything, she told me. Counseling, therapy, whatever it takes. She started leaving me little notes. I love you. I'll never hurt you again. Please don't give up on us. For a while I read them. Then I stopped. She cooked dinner each night, making my favorite dishes, hoping the routine would knit us back together. But I couldn't sit across from her and pretend everything was okay. Every time I pictured her with someone else, the knot in my stomach tightened. The trust we'd shared, respect, faith, it was gone. One evening she confronted me in the living room. Face swollen from crying, voice pleading. Please, Brad, she whispered. I love you. I'll do anything to fix this. For the first time in days I really looked at her. I don't think so, I said quietly, firmly. My words hit her like a blow. She collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably, clutching my hand as if the pain might stop if she held on harder. Maybe in that moment, she felt a fraction of the anguish she'd caused. For the next few days the house was eerily quiet. No fights, no shouting, just the heavy weight of what she'd done hanging in the air. I had hoped the silence might bring clarity, maybe a path to rebuild. But deep down I knew some things can't be fixed. Those days I tied up loose ends. I reviewed finances, sorted important documents, prepared for the inevitable. I went over every memory, every high and low, trying to judge if it was enough to hold on to. One morning I walked into the living room where Samantha sat with her eyes cast down, searching the floor like the answers might be hiding there. Her tear-swollen gaze met mine. Exhaustion etched across her face. I held the divorce papers in my hand, hesitating only briefly, not because I doubted the choice, but because I knew signing would mark the true end. You made your choice that night, I said, steady and resolved. This is mine. I set the papers on the coffee table. Her body froze. Her hands trembled as she reached for them. Brad, no, please, she whispered, voice breaking. We can fix this. I'll do whatever it takes. She dropped to her knees, clutching my hand, sobbing so hard it seemed she might choke. "Don't do this. Please don't throw us away." But the reality was she had already thrown it away. In one selfish act, she shattered the foundation of trust we'd built. Without trust, what was left? I gently freed my hand, my resolve unshaken. "I can't," I said, shaking my head. "I've tried. I've thought about it every way I can. I just can't see you the same." My voice never rose. It didn't need to. The finality in that quiet tone said everything. I turned and left the room, leaving her collapsed on the floor, sobs echoing behind me. A strange mix of grief and relief settled over me as I walked away. For the first time in days, I felt like I could breathe. It wasn't the ending I wanted, but it was the one I needed. Some wounds are too deep to heal. It's odd how the end of something that once meant everything can feel so hollow. Yet that became my reality. I left that marriage a free man, though freedom looked different than I'd imagined. For weeks I couldn't face our bedroom. Her scent lingered in the linens and brought back things I didn't want to relive. I slept on the couch. Slowly, though, things shifted. I stopped fixating on empty spaces and started imagining new possibilities. I replaced furniture, rearranged the living room, painted the walls. It was my way of reclaiming the space and saying, "This is mine now." I wasn't just restoring a house. I was rebuilding myself. The cracks and scars remained, and they twinged sometimes, but the ache eased over time. In their place, I found something I hadn't felt in years, a calm peace. As for Samantha, I don't know where life took her. Once the papers were signed, we cut off contact. I heard snippets later about how she struggled to move on. People say time heals everything. I don't think it erases pain. It teaches you how to live with it, how to grow around it. For me, that meant learning to be okay with solitude. I'd rather spend my days in quiet contentment than trapped in a marriage shadowed by betrayal. I hope Samantha learns to live with her choices, not for my sake, but for hers. In the end, we both lost something. I lost a wife I thought I knew, and she lost the life we built together. The difference is I gained something more valuable. I found myself, and that was worth every painful step. So, if you liked today's story, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit the bell icon.